Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, welcome to a brand new episode of But Am I Wrong on a brand new day, Monday.
This is the real announcement, right? No, because we have the other
video.
video.
Fisting first.
Yeah, but this is the first on-camera one.
Uh-huh.
We'll get excited because we're wearing the same outfits this week.
Mm-hmm.
Later.
On Thursday. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're confused, we've changed our schedule so that you're getting the most pertinent information that is fresh sooner rather than later. We record usually on Thursdays. This is coming out on Monday, so faster turnaround.
Yeah, we're PEMDOSing our podcast. This is the order of operations, and Melissa had the stroke of genius that we needed to PEMDOS it, and so that's what we're doing.
So, welcome.
Welcome, 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 welcome.
If you're somebody that usually doesn't listen to But Am I Wrong? You are today.
Psych! You got, bitch! Well, now you'll dive into it and you'll be like, I love this podcast. And maybe you haven't given it a shot and you're like, what even is this podcast? This podcast is where we, two people who have not once ever been wrong, tell other people solicited if they've been wrong, and then tell other people not solicited if they have been wrong. And then we ask, have we been wrong? It might be confusing, but do not worry. It won't be once we get to each of our segments. There are 3 of them, and we will explain them all before we hop into it. But we don't want to overwhelm you with information. All you need to know is that you've got 2 jobs here: to listen and to vote. Obviously, with your dollars, and at the booth for Kamala, for if you're Drew Barrymore, Mamala. And we also ask that you vote with your thumbs over on our Instagram story, because we put stories up that have all of the things that we talk about in each episode, and you vote for who you think was in the wrong, and then we read the results on our Tuesday episode called See You Next Tuesday. And that's where we read the results from the previous week, and you can also write in with why you voted that way, your thoughts and feelings or personal experience. And we like to have a lot of varying opinions or viewpoints and stuff. some things are controversial, some things are not, but just be honest, be yourself. And sometimes even the people who we talk to, not about, unfortunately, they write in, and then we can share that with the class as well. So.
All right. Mine is long, so buckle up. Also grab a pen and a piece of paper because it's time to take notes.
Class is in session.
Class is definitely in session. And my take for this week is stop spreading lies and disinformation about Kamala Harris. So, in case you missed it, which I don't know how, on Sunday, Joe Biden said that he is no longer running for president and he endorsed Kamala Harris, the current vice president. And I feel like it really re-energized the party. She broke records raising money and everybody's getting behind her. And so, of course, since America hates women and women of color, the lies they've been coming out against her for years. But like the racism, misogyny have been flying so hard this week. First, let's get into her qualifications. She's the first woman elected as district attorney to San Francisco. She's the first woman attorney general of California. She was elected to Senate and the first woman vice president. The resume is stacked.
Stacked.
Okay, so one thing that people have been talking about is her dating history and talking about how she slept her way to the top, which isn't true. But like, if you have an issue with that, like, maybe you should do better.
Also, that would be wildly impressive do you know how many people you'd have to sleep with to
Right.
get where she got? Like, that's
Right.
actually, no.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
There's also photos of her flying around of her dating Montel Williams years ago. And if you don't know who that is, you're too young to know. Why are you making that face?
Wait, because I didn't know it. And I'm wondering if this is the person.
So in the 90s, he had a talk show that was kind of like Maury, but like less extreme. And I've seen photos and memes calling her either his side piece or arm candy. First of all, they were dating and they were very openly dating, like in public. So not a side piece. And then second, if you're calling her arm candy, then you're just admitting that you think she's hot. Okay, then. And then third, let's not forget that he was a lieutenant commander and 22-year military veteran, the first Black Marine to ever be accepted to the Navy officer training program. So this is actually a huge flex that she dated this man. And then also, like, you're out here slut shaming her when Trump literally he's liable for sexual abuse and has 5 children by 3 different women.
Not to mention his pervy comments about people he's legitimately related to.
Yes. Also his son, also making disgusting comments.
In the words of Charlie XCX, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
And then we've also got people questioning her ethnicity, saying that she doesn't talk about being Black. I've literally heard her say, I was born Black, I was die Black, I've always been Black. And then some people stating that she doesn't claim her Indian side, but are also out here quoting the coconut quote, which is a quote. If you listen to the whole thing, she says she's quoting her Indian mother. So like, which side are we on? And then also she went to a historically Black college. She also pledged a historically Black sorority. What are y'all talking about? And then other people are saying, well, she's Jamaican, not Black. The majority of people in Jamaica are Black. What are y'all talking about? Do we not understand ethnicity means? And then some people are saying that her ancestors owned slaves. Newsflash, people, so did mine. Because any Black person that is a descendant of the Atlantic slave trade probably have a slave owner in their past because of rape and forced birth. And I found out recently that my, I think like great grandfather was like a slave owner, owned My other relatives, when he died, they actually got his land and then were forced off of the land. So shut up.
It does give me the vibe of that person who is on TikTok who says, "You are the children who are left behind."
Yes.
Like,
yes. But this is also, they're trying to take all this out of school so that people don't
Exactly.
even know about it.
Yeah.
And then people calling her a cop. She came into the system being a prosecutor because she wanted to change things for the better. She, like I said, she was the first Black female DA of San Francisco, and her goal coming in was to reform the job. She was against the three strikes 1994 crime bill, which there's a lot of nuance that goes into that, but she was very much against that. And so she started a program called Back on Track, which was to reduce recidivism by offering nonviolent, low-level drug trafficking defendants jobs, training, and other life skill or education as an alternate to jail. She also had their records expunged so it wouldn't be a barrier for them to get a job. She was labeled at the time being too soft on crime. And then she wrote a book about this, and she said it was called Being Smart on Crime, and said, how can we break the cycle of crime that is filling our prisons to capacity year after year with the same prisoners? She was criticized by being called a social worker instead of a prosecutor. She also was like one of the first people in 2015 to require police officers to wear body cams. In 2017, she was very vocalized on talking about the decriminalization of marijuana. She co-authored and co-sponsored the groundbreaking Justice in Police Act of 2020, which aims to hold police accountable for increased transparency and improved practice and training. She says that she believes in justice being on the ballot, and that doesn't just mean like things that are outwardly criminal. It's like children going without eating, things like that. She attacked sex trafficking, specifically when it comes to young Black women and trans women. She gave them safe houses. And according to Latifah Simon, who is an activist and organizer, she said that Harris's goal was not to stop, quote, prostitution, but to stop the AG's office from arresting children off the street for prostitution because they're children who are being bought and sold. And then when Harris told her that, she was like, damn, we can rock. Like, they met and she was like, this is somebody that really is out here for the people. There was an article in The Advocate that said that Kamala Harris single-handedly changed the course of LGBTQ history. She nearly lost the race for AG in 2010, and her narrow victory enabled marriage equality to advance because she was the one that made the call. 2 years before marriage equality became the law of the land, she gave the order allowing same-sex marriages in California. She also helped codify the Respect for Marriage Act in 2022. In 2014, she filed a federal bill to ban the use of trans and gay panic defense nationwide. She has repeatedly called out anti-trans violence aimed at Black trans women and expressed her vehement opposition of Trump's anti-trans ban and trans members serving in the military. She served the Bureau of Children's Justice. The Bureau of Children's Justice was formed within the Civil Rights Enforcement section in 2015 to safeguard equal opportunities so that every child in the state of California can meet their full potential. And then there's also a bunch of baseless claims, like Ted Cruz on Hannity this week said that she's an extremist. And the things that he said she was an extremist on were sponsoring a bill to decriminalize marijuana. Ooh, so scary.
Ooh.
Also sponsoring bills expanding vote by mail and early in-person voting during the 2020 election. Again, scary.
Voter suppression. Aw, damn.
They say that she has ties to Jeffrey Epstein, but the photo going around is literally a photo of her and her husband, Doug, that they have superimposed Epstein's photo on. And if you look at the body type, Doug is like a beefy kind of guy, and Jeffrey Epstein is scrawny. So obviously this is fake.
I think they dropped the Epstein one again when there are photos of him and his close personal friend, Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Tulsi said that she put over 15,000 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it. So PolitiFacto said as Attorney General, she would not have been the person to prosecute marijuana cases. They are handled by lower level state attorneys. Also notably, the figures dropped dramatically during her tenure from 817 related admissions in her first year to 137 in her last year. Also, only 45 of those people served jail time. There's another false claim that she blocked the release of prisoners, kept them locked up for slave labor, and refused to address the prison overcrowding. I've already spoken about that, but also there is a court filing by the California DOJ. The role of the Attorney General is to represent various state agencies in litigation, and in this case, the state agency was California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. The court actually rejected the filing. Therefore, the prisoners were not, in fact, kept locked up. She was not involved in the court filing nor aware of the filing prior to the news report. There are over 20,000 cases per year in civil law alone, and this would have been customary for someone, not the Attorney General, to be involved in the cases and only required a mid-level deputy Attorney General. Another lie is that she was keeping evidence away from a man being exonerated, Kevin Cooper, who was sentenced in 1985, which she was in college during this time, not even working yet. Then in 2010, he ran out of appeals and that was struck down. He needed clemency, and clemency can only come from a governor. In 2004, the governor was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he denied it. Then when Gavin Newsom was in, he did allow for them to do a investigation, again, that had nothing to do with her. She has no power in that. So let's talk about her endorsements. Recently, Donald Trump said that she destroyed San Francisco, yet one thing that's true is that she received donations from Trump twice while she was the Attorney General. In 2011 and 2013, he donated a total of $6,000 to her. She said she gave it to charity. So he obviously liked the work that she was doing, that he doubled down on it. And what I have to say is, like, we aren't going back, bitches. So let's mobilize, stop the lies, get her in office. It's Brat Girl Summer. We're carrying this over to the fall. USA, let's fucking go.
Yes. This has also been a learning lesson to me because the Tulsi, I didn't even know that she put like 1,500 black women in jail for marijuana charges came from her. Mm-hmm. And I remember I think probably in the last like 2 weeks heard that was like not factual and true. And granted, for me, I was like, you're a DA. I don't know the backstory of any of this. So, you know, it is what it is that you're a politician. Mm-hmm. And reading that, I go, oh my God, this is just a completely false and fabricated number. Can't come up from the woman who is a full-blown conspiracy theorist.
Right.
Oh, cool. Wow. That for me was a good check that I'm like, okay, Meghan, even if you don't take it to heart, you need to fact check those things. Even if you're like, I'm not using it to count against you because, again, you're a politician. Mm-hmm. But even if I still need to check that.
Right. And I've seen so many people that I thought were smart this week reposting things that were just complete lies. And so I figured, like, our listeners, even though I'm pretty sure how most people are voting, they probably heard some of these lies and might think that they're true. Take them. Anything you hear that you think, that sounds horrible, take a moment to actually research it, figure out where this information came from, fact check it, and like stop people from regurgitating these lies.
Yeah. And if you're not going to do the work to research, don't say fucking anything. Right. You don't talk about it with your friend. You don't do that. You don't share any of the information because unless you fact checked it, you can't. I didn't share that information because I didn't fact check it.
Right.
So that's the aspect of it. And I will say that the dog whistle for me is when someone calls her a cop and I go, ooh, your knowledge of this is coming from Law and Order. That's the only reason why you're calling a DA a cop is because they are a main character on Law and Order and they are a main character on like any of the criminal. They're a main character because they hang out on the cop shows. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And
But like, if you're a Republican and you call her a cop, don't you love cops? So shouldn't you be voting for her?
And yeah, seeing a lot of like white leftists as someone who fully identifies as a leftist, I align a lot more with like leftist policies. Seeing some of that stuff specifically from men, it is the same thing I've said about Bernie bros the whole time, where for them, they view the most marginalized and oppressed group of people are straight white men if they are not rich. If you are not rich, you are the ultimate victim. And therefore, anyone, regardless, a black woman, a black and Indian woman who is quote unquote rich that they see, therefore has more privilege and more rights than they do a middle class man from Kentucky. So there's a lot of that is popping through. So I'm very excited to vote for her. AKA staying on top constantly.
Number one.
Yeah, everyone is speculating that the real thing that needs to happen, which I stand by so hard, that Kamala needs to announce Taylor Swift's reputation and she needs to bring her out on stage.
Well, she has Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar's song Freedom is her song right now. And then also she's going on Drag Race this week. So could be.
Yeah. I think if Taylor Swift wants to alleviate herself from some of the guilt she feels from 2016 election, that she has a whole section in her movie about it. This is Gretty Pop, Taylor Allison Swift. This is a great opportunity. Boy, do I have the girl boss for you. And that girl boss could be president. That girl boss will be president, actually. Not could be. She will be.
She will be.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. Mine is far more silly and lighthearted.
I figured.
So this came to me while watching the trailer for Twisters. Can't wait to see it. Let me just say. Will not be seeing it in 4D. Melissa, fuck no. Well, Mott's was like, there was a line wrapped around. Remember I told you the line wrapped around the block and we figured out that was for the 4D experience. I will not be going. We've already been over this. We've already talked about 4D movies here.
To go see
Mott's,
Little
by the
Mermaid.
way, I told Mott's was like, do you think Melissa would want to go? Because I go, no, because then you're trying to peer pressure me into going and that's not fucking happening.
Yeah.
It looks, I think I'd throw up. So I want to say that Daisy Edgar Jones, I have not seen her in anything, but she's getting cast. So I'm sure she's like a wonderful actress. This has nothing to do with her talents whatsoever. All I'm asking for is we need equal treatment. If British people are allowed to play American people with bad fucking accents, you need to let American people play British people with bad fucking accents. For some reason, we have this like odd hierarchy that like we think British people can like do no wrong, which at the same time I go, okay, we could talk about history. You know, but the idea that like there are lots of British actors who play Americans and that's fine. But God forbid an American hops on a British show and throws on oh, hello there, poopit. I think that should be allowed. I just truly think it should be allowed because not all of us are going to be Margot Robbie with a dialect coach. So I think we cannot have a double standard for that. And I think that it's specifically Twisters. There's nothing more American than Simone Biles, Olympic gold medals, Oklahoma, and specifically tornadoes. Tornadoes are so American that you're going to have a British girl play a tornado chaser? But are you going to let an American girl hop in and play? Well, they did let Kristen Stewart play Princess Diana. So all I'm saying though, some shows...
How'd that go? I don't think I ever heard anything about that.
You know I love that girl. I'll watch it. I've been wanting to watch it. I heard it was like more like, it's like over the course of just one day. So it's like high tension kind of thing. So, you know, and I understand anyone who's British might be like, we're so small. We're so small. We're such a petite little place. We're so small. And that's why, you know, in the shows like Harry Potter and like, you know, other ones where they're like, we need everyone to be British, or like Lord of the Rings, whatever. We need everyone to be British. We don't do that. We don't say, actually, you can't play a tornado chaser because you're British. You can't. No.
How is her accent?
So, I mean, I did say that I came up with this from just watching a 15-second trailer.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
It's I'd love to hear more about it.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I don't know her character's backstory. I would love to know because it is. I haven't heard anything like it before.
I'm sure there's a thread on Reddit.
No, it's. I opened the comments and everyone went, "What is that?"
Okay.
And like, I don't know what they wanted her to do. And so, like, I will say a Southern accent. People think it's like very easy. There are so many like small regional dialects and all of that kind of stuff that I do think it's better to just kind of do like a run of the mill American accent. But, we also, Mats and I have been watching, we still haven't made it through because he's like, this movie's so bad. The Circle, starring Emma Watson, who famously, it is the worst American accent I've ever heard in my life. And I say that with love. Love that girl. But I just think that we should be allowed to do really bad British accents. And I'm talking Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins. I need us to go back to, oh, my chimney sweep. Like, I think we should be allowed to do that because we used to do that and we're not really allowed to do that anymore. Let us back. Come on, British America is calling.
As opposed to London's calling.
Exactly. I just think it's like the way that it's just so funny to me because like we just kind of let it slide. We go, oh, she's British, she's trying. But like Americans are looked at as so like trashy and like classless. So like when we try a British accent, it goes, oh my God, you poor. Like how could they ever think to do that? Let's all do bad accents.
Like I said, I spoke with a British accent for about a year just for fun. So I'm not opposed to this.
I think it would be a good time. Why not? Why the fuck not?
All right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll get into But Are You Wrong?
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back. It's time for But Are You Wrong? And this is where we read your submissions that you send to butamiwrongpod@gmail.com about the situation or circumstance you've found yourself in that you want to know if you are wrong about. So keep it under 300 words. We do ask that you include your age. The whole thing is anonymous, so you do not need to include your name. But if you're going to talk about multiple different people in the story, just give them some fake names so we can keep track of it all. And I think I said, let us know your pronouns if you would like. But yeah, you're first.
All right. Hi, Meghan and Melissa. Love the show. I'm in a bit of a situation and I need you to be completely honest. If I'm being an asshole, feel free to let me know. A few weeks ago, me and some friends were celebrating a friend's birthday. We had invited her over to Sarah's house for a wine tasting. One of us was in charge of getting the wine, which was the main present, and Sarah was going to get a few snacks as we were going to be at her house. When we planned this, we decided that everyone should eat before they arrive, as there would be only snacks with the wine. However, As we show up, Sarah has made a feast. Homemade bread, lots of fancy cheese, snacks, meat, which only 2 out of 5 people eat, etc. She quickly said she went a bit overboard. We had a really nice evening, but ended up eating about 1/5 of all the food since we had all had dinner before coming. The day after, she sent us, minus the birthday girl, Venmo request for $30. I was very confused as the gift for our friend was the wine we bought. She said it was to cover the food, which no one asked for. We literally asked for her to get some crisps. And when no one ate, we were 4 people planning it, which means we spent $120 on stuff that we didn't even have. Now for the big question, would I be wrong if I didn't pay her or only paid her for the snacks we agreed to in the first place? I know it's only $30 and I do feel a bit bad since she obviously put a lot of effort into making it nice. Thank you in advance. Man, fuck Sarah.
That's crazy.
That is like, you went to all the trouble of like making bread and getting fancy cheeses and stuff when nobody asked for that. And you knew everybody was eating before they got there.
And then you asked for their money?
That's wild. No, absolutely not. You should not feel bad for this. And I wouldn't give her, I'd give her maybe $5 if that's how much food you ate. And I feel like the $5 is just being petty anyway.
I'm like speechless. Like that is actually like so fucking out of pocket. And I say that as somebody who like has a habit of doing too much. Like I have a habit of like going too far and above beyond or whatever, or like saying someone should bring something, or like people being like, what should I bring? I was like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it. And I'll do everything. And then like not ask for, but I would never ask for money after, like ever. Like that's me doing something on my own volition.
Right.
And like no one's counting on me. It's not like I'm going to like let anyone down or disappoint people or like ruin the plan if I don't do this. Like if I choose to do it, it's also my choice to finish it, my choice to follow through. And that's on my dime. I think if you paid her, that would set like a really bad precedent for her doing this in the future. And I mean, like I'm with Melissa, like you send $5 or I would be like, hey, I was like, it's like someone ordering for the table after you all are like, we're just going to get drinks and then trying to split it and being like, hey, I'm like totally happy to like give you like some money for this time. But like we had all agreed to like not do this. Like I had budgeted for this. Like I could not do this. Like if this next time, like please just like let me know ahead of time because I don't want you to like put yourself into a spot because I can't cover this. Like I can't contribute that and I don't want you to be out money. So yeah, that I think it'd be a bad move to pay all $30. I would pay the $5 and say that still.
Because it was uncalled for. Y'all didn't say that you wanted any of that.
No, and like you just essentially paid for her to have like charcuterie for the whole week.
Like if you took stuff, maybe pay for it. But like you didn't take anything. You ate 1/5. $5 is too much.
Mm-hmm. Also, how expensive was the cheese? $120. That seems like a lot. Okay. You're not wrong. Dear Eminem, I'm 28 and have been listening since 2020. Over the weekend, I was with some friends and we saw the attempted you-know-what at the rally. I said, this is a horrible thing to happen to someone, and violence is never the answer. They responded to me saying that I was now a Trump supporter and that I shouldn't be saying such things. I told them it doesn't matter. A man was shot and that's not okay, despite what political party you are. I want to make it clear that I am not a Republican. I have always voted Democrat and continue to do so. Am I wrong for saying it was a horrible act and that violence is never the answer? Love the podcast and can't wait to hear back.
How much do you love the podcast?
How much can you wait to hear back?
But I'm asking because I feel like you've been vocal about how you feel.
Well, that's why I kind of, the whole like 3 exclamation points, like, can't wait to hear back. I go, you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know what? This would have never happened if we had stricter gun laws.
Mm-hmm. You're correct. It would have never happened if we had stricter gun laws.
Mm-hmm.
Also, were bullets shot? Yes.
Was someone shot? Yes.
Yes. But did Trump actually? I mean, the doctor that worked on, you can't even say operated because there's no surgery that went into this. The doctor that saw him said it was a very minor injury, that the little pillow on his ear was unnecessary. It's just a little blood. But why should I have empathy for someone who doesn't care about me as a person as a Black person, as a woman, as someone that's not a millionaire, why should I care about that person when they don't give a fuck about me and their job that they're interviewing for is supposed to help take care of me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say I am glad he didn't die because then he becomes a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that creates a much worse political landscape for us. I think things go a lot better when he just loses the election.
Right. Especially to a woman
Black
of color.
woman. Yep. So I think being like the whole argument of like, don't stoop to their level. Well, I'm not stooping to their level because I'm not actually passing legislation to control people, harm people, any of that. So to have empathy for people who cheered when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked.
And like not just attacked, almost died.
Yeah. And like the same people who wish this constantly. It's not the why can't both sides get along? Violence is not the answer sort of like take that you think it is. It's because it's never matched. You know what I mean? Like you will always extend more grace and more empathy to one. It's not going to be equal in that way. And also like there's such a lack of nuance to all of that. It's the same thing of like, well, you know, of course I acknowledge the plight of Black men and Black Lives Matter movement, but I do feel for the cities who the protests are going and like being destroyed. Like that's also not okay.
Right.
Like, you know, sometimes like it is a competition. Sometimes you do have to rank tragedies. Sometimes you do have to rank where your empathies lie because of nuance to that. And there's a huge difference in your head, like thinking like, oh, damn, gun violence, that's horrible. No one should have to go through that. Then like expressing that and saying that to people.
Also, the person that did actually die, Trump never called his widow to say, you know, I'm sorry for your loss. Not jack shit. But you know who did? Biden.
Mm-hmm. Despite that man's social media presence, which is, I didn't know I could still be shocked by what we are allowed on Elon Musk's Twitter. It was horrifying. So yeah, I think like if you view violence is always not okay, it's always not okay when someone kills their rapist. It's always not okay when a child is a victim of gun violence. It's always not okay when a dictator or Hitler dies. It's all equally sad. I don't think you would stand by that.
Also, this man wants to be a dictator.
Yeah.
So
you know, you can't just say you can't care about it all the same. Mm-hmm. Because that means, again, like you value the lie, like, you know, everyone's human life inherently has value. The assigned value varies person to person, what you value and like what is important to you. And so, yeah, I view fascists with not the same way I do, you know, innocent people, children, the kids at schools who are getting shot and gunned down. Like, and you know, it's kind of the same way I feel about disabled politicians who want to strip rights of disabled people. And it's like, okay, so cool.
It's like the people that didn't want like the last surviving Nazis to face any type of consequences because they were old grandpas.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. They're still hateful people.
Yeah. And if you like have this like super sanitized take to me that just says you don't know enough, because I don't think any human having all of the information would still have that super sanitized take at all. You would then be a Republican voting Republican or staunchly on the other side.
Right. And for somebody who doesn't care about gun laws and also doesn't care about like mental health issues and proper health care, cause and effect.
Yeah. Fuck around and find out. And also, if you are truly a lifelong Democrat and you do not like Trump, there is a part of me, and it is the large part of me, 99% of me, thinks that you have walked into exactly the role that he wants.
From people that he doesn't care about, but he thinks that everyone should love him.
Yeah. And have you then look at your friends like they're monsters and therefore align your vote not with them because you change that. And I think that is something that we see in politics, but specifically in TV shows about politics. And this to me, when life feels a little too much like a TV show and people look a little too much like they were found on central casting, I think you might be walking into a booby trap. So, and who knows if you'll hear this, because I got a lot of questions.
All right, we're going to take a break. And when we get back, we'll get into But Are They Wrong?
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Merry Christmas, everybody! My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody! Let's go!
We are back. It's time for But Are They Wrong? And this is where we will nominate a person, place, or thing, someone in pop culture, zeitgeist, current event, and it could be obscure too, that we want to share with the class to publicly shame or gossip behind their back.
All right. So my pick this week is Trump's vice president pick, JD Vance. There's a lot of reasons why I would pick this alleged couch fucker, but I'm only going to talk about this one instance today. But he said, and I'm paraphrasing, "We're running in this country by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too." And then he pointed to Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, which I guess he's calling Pete a lady in this situation, and also AOC. He said the entire future of the Democrats are run by these people. The future of Democrats are controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people that don't have a direct stake in it? Which all of that is disgusting. Just because you don't have children don't mean that you have a stake in lives as it is now. That means that you yourself don't have empathy for other people. You only have empathy for people that you're related to and the people that you chose to populate the world with, I guess. There's been a lot of attacks this week on Harris for not birthing any children. And first of all, I want to say, no other president has birthed a child.
Good point.
And then second, what does having a child have to do with running a country? Third, someone that doesn't have an empathetic bone in their body, such as Trump, like, he's got 5 kids. That doesn't mean that he wants a better future for them. And then fourth, do you know how amazing you have to be if the mother of your stepchildren come out to support you? So like Doug's ex-wife, she made a statement and said, "These are baseless attacks. For over 10 years since Cole and Ella were teenagers, Kamala has been a co-parent with Doug and I." Her name is Kirsten Imhoff. She also said, she is loving, nurturing, fiercely protective, and always present. I love our blended family and I'm grateful to have her in it. And then Ella, the stepdaughter, said, "How can you be childless when you have cutie pie kids like Cole and I?" And then she added her mom and said, "Say it louder for the people in back." So, fuck off. This man is just a weirdo. Like, he is the definition of weirdo.
He's a weirdo. Also, has Trump seen the footage of him saying he's an ever-Trump Republican?
And he also said that Trump was Hitler.
Yeah.
I honestly think that Trump believes, oh, I changed his mind, so that's how powerful I am.
Yeah, I saw a take that I really agreed with, that Trump, he wanted to win by record numbers this year. So like he wanted to like set records with that. And so he was like, I got to go so hard and essentially get like the like even more, like he has to get people who are Republicans and even more who are not Trump Republicans, and also continued even more extremists who might be like, oh, that's a little. So that's like combining it all together where it's like, okay, I got to get someone who's super fucking weird and now is regretting it because
he has no charisma.
But, I mean, yeah. And I was like, and in the sense of like, you and this weirdo against her, she can do it hands tied behind her back. She doesn't even need a fucking VP.
Nope.
Like,
not at all.
That's, yeah. I just learned he wrote Hillbilly Elegy. And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Cause like, to me, that's always been like a Republican, a secret conservative, like dog whistle. Like, oh, I love that book. And Mach was like, really? Like a lot of liberals read that book. And I was like, really? Like that was surprising to me. And he was like, well, now that I think about it, it's a lot of people who are like, you know, moderate and or people who come from incredibly privileged backgrounds who are like, of course, this must be real. This must be how the poors are. And so like, just like super out of touch. But yeah, for me, that's always been like okay, I feel like I know where you're leaning. And I mean that like currently. I don't know what it was like when it was first released or anything like that. So if you read it early on and you're like, no, I'm not like that at all. I just mean like now when I hear the title. Well, my nomination is Chelsea King of the Tanzanite Saga. I wrote down a lot of notes. And I'm so excited. I literally asked Melisa before. I was like, do you know what this is? Because I was deciding what I was doing. And she was like, no. So like you said at the beginning, buckle up, grab your popcorn and get fucking ready. So Chelsea King is a TikToker. She has a TikTok account. I wouldn't necessarily say that is her main source of income whatsoever. She is, however, a struggling indie musician. But she gets on TikTok and makes a video saying that King Jewelers in Nashville has lost a $10,000 raw tanzanite, as well as a 4th-generation family heirloom ring, and will not compensate her or her boyfriend. And she says, they're a massive company, and I'm just a little indie musician, and my boyfriend is a tennis player, so they think they can get away with it. And says that her boyfriend spent his life savings on this ring. Now, all 3 of those things, none of those is true. She said her aunt raised her, and it was her ring, and it was passed down to her, and it was the only thing left in her will that didn't get sold. We're really hammering down the, please, sir, may I have some more? She then says she's a little woo-woo. And she spent a year, her and her boyfriend, working with some shamans to unblock their chakras and past life regression. While working with these shamans, her boyfriend bought the quote-unquote biggest tanzanite I've ever seen. And she gestures to like softball size with her hands. And they got it straight from Tanzania. Keep that in mind. Softball size, straight from Tanzania. And the shamans used this crystal to heal him and cut ties from his past life with an evil man who had killed him in his past life. So this was a stone that she wanted to use for her engagement ring. And then the rest of the stone, because again, softball size, biggest tanzanite you've ever seen. So the rest of the stone she wanted to use for earrings and then rings for their future children. So after like talking with a couple other jewelers, she decided on King Jewelers, and she dropped off the stone to them and the heirloom ring, which had an emerald in the center, to King Jewelers in April. And again, also I should note that Chelsea King, no relation to the King Jewelers, just happened to both have the name King in it. So they dropped the stone off in April. Then in July, they've been calling. They haven't heard back from them. Finally, in July, they were then told that it was stolen. So they said the FedEx truck was robbed on the way back from the gemstone like cutter and who sets the ring, like essentially like the factory who they outsource that to. And I am just going to say right here, this is where it's all collectively agreed upon that I don't know why that they had to follow up. They should have been told immediately whether the ring was stolen or whatever. There are lots of speculations that they thought maybe it would still show up. They were holding out hope. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer or whatever. Regardless of the cause, they should have said it right away.
But also, if this was an actual jeweler, they wouldn't be sending it through FedEx. It would be in an armed vehicle being taken somewhere.
So we'll get to that part too. So then finally, they get the owner of the jeweler on the phone. And she then says, this is a quote, "You can tell he grew up in a very privileged situation," based on how he's responding to this. So they asked to be compensated for the ring as well as the gemstone. And then he basically says he did not lose this. Like they're accusing him. He's like, I did not lose this. The company that we used to cut the gemstone and to set those, they are the ones who lost it. They didn't insure it. It's insured on my end on the way there. It's their responsibility to insure it on the way back, but they did not insure it on the way back. And then the package was stolen on the way back. And there is a whole police report to back it up. Now, why might it not have been insured on the way back? We'll get into that. So then Chelsea and her boyfriend say if they don't pay them, they will take it online. They will review bomb him and take it to TikTok as well as the Better Business Bureau. The man from King Jewelers then says, after they went to the Better Business Bureau, see the claim that they said, he was like, "You're blackmailing me." And so this is all from Chelsea at this point. This is what we're hearing. And we're like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy. She said, and then he says, you needed to have personal insurance on this ring. Like, you should have insured this. And they were like, that's bullshit. Why should we have had to do this? She then acknowledges the review bombing and says that she felt guilty. But then her boyfriend says they brought this on themselves. And she was like, yeah, you're right. Her conscience is absolved. I will also state that this was over the course of like 6 or 7 days that she was doing an update. She was doing a video about this every single day and then doing an update, updates throughout it. So there's, I would say, probably almost 14 videos, maybe more than 7, more than 10. So then in one of the update videos, she alludes that they didn't lose the ring, that they stole it. And they sell that, and then alludes to the fact that they do this often, saying that she talked to an employee and saying that this happens all the time there. This is what they do. They steal gemstones out of rings and they sell them for a profit. But she had to keep the employees' anonymity, so couldn't reveal too much about that because they didn't want to be. She said that King Jewelers also had threatened them. Now we're on to the truth. Because up until then, we have just been seeing her videos. Up until this point, we have seen no photos. The only indicator of the size of this has been her showing with her hand. And then she finally ends up showing a photo of her heirloom ring, family ring. And this is no shade. It's a gorgeous ring. It is a very small amount of gold, small little ring with a very small emerald on it. It is not gaudy. It is not ornate. It is not over the top. It is pretty standard run of the mill, something you could actually see being done today. Small emeralds, diamonds around it, a little bit of gold. So jewelers for the last week have been offering to make her a new ring free of charge, essentially, because this has blown up on TikTok. So it's great press for them. And also, they want to help her out. But again, we all know it's great press for them. And one of the places is a jeweler in the Bay Area called Marietta & Co. So when they were talking to her, following up, asking questions, she says that she doesn't have any pictures of the tanzanite. And they're like, what? Okay. So this guy who he's on TikTok, Marietta & Co., he starts saying that like some red flags are kind of popping up and he's like trying to do his due diligence and it starts feeling fishy. And then we go on to hear about this jewelers Facebook group. So a lot of jewelers on TikTok are talking about there's a Facebook group with a bunch of jewelers who are all in it together. You have to be a jeweler to be in this group. And that's where we see what is rumored to be a post from King Jewelers with a photo of the tanzanite. And the tanzanite is smaller than a quarter. Generously, it's a raw, uncut tanzanite that's maybe 5 or 6 carats. Again, that's quite generous, uncut, poor clarity, poor color. And as that raw stone cannot be worth more than $60. Take in mind, $10,000 was what he paid for this. And the full ring with the tanzanite in there could not be worth more than a couple $100. Now, if she had actually exported a softball size of this, that would be a felony because...
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. I was coming back from Oregon and this woman had got a bunch of gems, like had gone, you can go looking for them and they were all in her backpack. They wouldn't let her get on the plane.
Yep.
They wouldn't let her get through security. She was in front of me holding up the fucking line.
Yeah. So Tanzania, that's like the only place you can get Tanzanite. And they had a big issue with people just exporting what is cheaper is raw as opposed to, and then taking it overseas to get it cut. So in order to keep that kind of far better for their economy, you can only transport things that are less than like a certain number of grams to raw. Otherwise, you can transfer a 10 carat cut Tanzanite as long as you get it cut there and then you bring it back. So softball size? No, not possible. So we then find out through the Better Business Bureau, as in you can look up the documents, that King Jewelers did offer to replace the ring, make a new one, or compensate for the value of the ring. So again, few $100s, but if they made the ring or got a comparable one, that one would even be valued higher because, they feel bad. Then this is where we find out Chelsea and her fiance or her boyfriend wanted $25,000 or nothing. And remember how they said that King Jewelers was a big corporation and they're just like a tiny indie musician and a tennis player? No. They're actually just a mom and pop jeweler. And Chelsea grew up in Piedmont, which is in the Bay Area, an incredibly wealthy area. And her parents just bought a $7 million Maui home that she did a home tour of on her TikTok at the beginning of the pandemic when Native Hawaiians were begging people to not even travel there for fun, let alone buy a $7 million home. Her fiance's family is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And they're not just rich. These kids are wealthy. And as someone who has dyed blonde hair, I can tell you that girl is an expensive highlight. They tried to do this to Ticketmaster before. Something about buying like $900 tickets that they got scammed out of whatever. Blow this up. Ticketmaster needs to pay for this. They're not unfamiliar with this. Her entire TikTok is about her being a broke musician, being like packaging, like with all the Nepo babies in the world. Here I am packaging my album on my own and it feels good knowing I made it. Like, we're just so broke and poor. Please buy my merch because, struggling artists, like we don't have any money. She was posting daily all of these videos, as well as posting, if you like Gracie Abrams and Taylor Swift, you might like my new song, promoting her music, all the while doing this. So 2 days ago, as the 23rd was the last time she posted, the last video she posted, this is the same time as Marietta & Co. essentially rescinded their offer to make her a free ring. And she'd already agreed to go with somebody else, but they rescinded their offer and were like, this feels really fishy. I don't want anyone else to do this. And also, I'm really worried about this business because she's review bombing it and all of her audiences too. And like, they're trying to ruin this person's life. And no, but she already has accepted an offer for a free ring from somebody else. And who knows what will happen with that then. But again, she'd been posting multiple times a day for the last week plus and has not posted in 2 days. And rumor on the street has not yet to be confirmed as the day that we're recording this, which is the 25th, that King Jewelers is going to sue them for extortion, slander, and defamation.
As they should.
As they fucking should.
How can you be so greedy? Such a liar. Also, like, so needy that you need all these people's attention on you so you can get something for free that you never deserved in the first place.
And what everyone thinks happened is it was a $10,000 shaman retreat and you got the Tanzanite for free at the end. I would say if you still have all of this hatred in your heart, maybe you need someone to work on that past life regression and cut those ties to your previous life because, still a lot of negative energy there. Yeah, I think this is just wild. And she also lives in Nashville. They live in Tennessee. And like, it's one of the states where you can sue for you can also if you sue for something, you can sue for sentimental value that can be added on. It's not just monetary value. And not all states are like that. So I'm like, you could have, if you wanted to pursue that, but at the same time, you also didn't have this insured. So you might have not gotten much, but you actually did have a case essentially to maybe get something that was slightly more worth slightly more than what the assessed value was, because they can factor in sentimental value there, which they can't in every state. But like, you now, not only are you not getting any of that shit back, like you are probably going to have to heavily pay. But people are being like, people are like desperately hoping that the ring ends up showing up so it can be like so small. And she's like, and also like if anyone finds it, like it maybe even has like earrings and like some rings also there for like the ones that we talked about maybe making. And everyone's like, you can't make it with that much. Like that's no.
All right. Thank you. You said that's all over white TikTok.
It is.
Okay. I had not heard one thing about it.
That's what I'm here for.
So thank you for bringing the Caucasian perspective.
And you know what? I'll keep doing it. It's a full-time job, not one I can detach from. And sometimes it brings me these joys. So, yeah, that's it. I hope that I have an update for you like next week. Like I hope there's something that comes up, and I hope King Jewelers makes a response.
I'm sure they're mounting their legal team though.
Yeah, she kept saying like it sounds like he's reading like from a script or whatever, and I go, yeah, he's probably in his lawyer's office. And like she's like, the fact that he's ignoring her, I go, yeah, when you threaten someone with extortion, like legally, you should not respond to that and let you keep running your mouth in your fucking email threatening them for extortion even more and more and more. Like they're just compiling the receipts of you being like, if you don't do this, it's crazy to me. As someone who knows someone who blackmailed someone via email, I'm like, you guys.
It's really no brain behavior.
No, yeah. Like, it's just like, okay. Have you heard of they go, well, it's not a paper trail. I go, it's an electronic paper trail.
It's probably worse.
It is. I think it is worse because it's like timed and, you know, the exact moment and someone was dated, the location. Yeah. It's not good. They can subpoena your Google search history. It's not so good.
See way more than you bargained for.
Yeah. Not so good. Not so good. Not so good. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for See You Next Tuesday, where we'll be reading the results from last week's episode of But Am I Wrong?
And then Thursday, we have Don't Blame Me. Friday, we have our chit-chatty episode where we catch up, we talk. I mean, also, because this is coming out first, if you have any things you want us to discuss, send
that's
it to
true.
us.
That's true.
Not that we need, like, we can talk forever about nothing.
Anything.
And we'll find stuff, but like, you know, if there is something you ever want us to like discuss, send it on over.
All right. Well, we will circle back. Goodbye.
Goodbye. But Am I Wrong is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melisa Demonts, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
And production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.